Those who favour this attack on Iraq now will tell you candidly and privately that it is probably true that Saddam Hussein is no threat to the United States. But they are afraid at some point he might decide, if he had a nuclear weapon, to use it against Israel. Retired General Wesley Clark, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander.
Welcome back to Inside Iraq. We are discussing the dialectical relationship between Israel and Iraq with Anas al-Tikriti and Mordechai Kidar. Before the break, Mordechai, Anas was saying that Iraq has become an operational theater for Israeli intelligence. Other Iraqis, as a matter of fact, they believe that most of the killings of Iraqi scientists is done by the Mossad. Here's your chance to answer.
Definitely, he can blame us for killing Hussein bin Ali in the year of 680 as well. If he goes according to this, Israel is to be blamed for everything in the Arab world, as he can also say in Darfur and in Yemen and everywhere else. And this is some, and you know, it's some kind of nonsense. I just want to remind Mr. Anas. From Iraq, from Baghdad, there was the Abu Nidal was operating against Israel, operating not on intelligence. He kidnapped the Akil al-Auro ship, and you know what this was? This Arab Liberation Front, and he was operating under the aegis of Saddam Hussein. It was not intelligence. This was real actions. Israelis died from what Iraq was doing during the years. No wonder that Arafat was supporting Saddam Hussein for invading Kuwait. And this is why the Kuwaitis kicked the Palestinians away. This collaboration between Iraq and PLO cost the lives of many Israelis through the years. So it's not only intelligence. This was real actions of Iraq against Israel, concentrated by Saddam Hussein. This is why we didn't like this guy, especially when he started supporting Hamas at the beginning of the 2000s. And this really, until, you know, alhamdulillah, he was kicked away and he stopped it. Now we have the problem with the Iranians. But I want to tell you something else. Many Iraqis correspond with me through email. They feel in sharing with Israel the same fate, the same fight against the terror, because the same terror which hits us hits you in Iraq. It's the same thing, it's the same rule, it's the same genie who came out from the bottle, and he kicks and he kills the Israelis and he kills the Iraqis the same.
You made the point, Mordechai Kidar. Let me get Anas al-Tikriti. How about that? You know, some Iraqi political factions, like we mentioned at the intro, for instance, the Kurds, you know, they welcomed normalizations of relations with Israel. Even some minor political figures like Mithal al-Alusi actually went to Israel, and he's calling for, you know, perhaps an amendment. Fine. Anas al-Tikriti, how about that?
Well, first of all, let me just, you know, please Mordechai by actually exonerating Israel. No, you didn't kill Al-Hussein bin Ali. That's one point that I'd like to state for the record. However,
thank you very much.
You cannot.
Thank you.
You cannot deny the fact that, as I said, Israel's fingerprints have been all over Iraq's history as well as the past 5-6 years. Now, till now, Mordechai, if I may, you still haven't answered the question. You still haven't. No, it's not a conspiracy. It's a very. I'm saying Israel has a strategy to undermine Iraq. It's not just about Saddam Hussein. Your operatives are still there. Your operatives are still meeting with people. They're still gathering intelligence. By the admission of the head of the US-led prisons in Iraq, your interrogators were interrogating and possibly even torturing Iraqi detainees. That has nothing to do with Saddam Hussein.
I have to clarify.
Mordechai, I'm asking you to deny 100% whether Israel has any doing with Iraq today. And I'm saying that we have evidence and we have proof that Israeli operatives, the Mossad, the military intelligence, are operating today throughout Iraq, collaborating on some level with certain factions. And yes, the likes of Mithal al-Alusi, some Kurds and the such, they have some narrow sort of interest, and you'll find those people in any kind of situation. However, I'll tell you this, Jassim and Mordechai,
let him answer.
More than 99% of the Iraqi people, more than 99% of the Iraqi people are against Israel. And those who write to you saying that we wish we'd come to Israel, my accusation of self-denial is, how many Israelis actually want to leave Israel? There aren't any Iraqis who want to come to Israel, Mordechai. Come on, Israel and peace don't fit in the same.
Israel is a free country. Everybody can leave.
It's a shame to even speak of peace.
Anas al-Tikriti, give the man a chance. Go ahead, Mordechai.
Look, I'll tell you what. what happens with Israel is that there are many Israeli veterans who were once in the army or in the intelligence, and they are all over the world. They can do whatever they like because they are free people. They do not represent Israel as a state. They go as private people, and they suggest their support to whoever. You can find them in South America, you can find them in Georgia, you can find them in many other places. They are free people to do whatever they like, and they have no connection whatsoever with Israel as a state. And this is maybe this lady in Abu Ghraib, maybe she saw some Israeli from those who are. Everybody says that he was in the Mossad. Who can check it? Every Israeli can say that he was in the Mossad. Can you check it? I can say about myself as well. So what do you want? This is why. But what I want to say, to tell you something. You think, or many in the Arab world think, that Israel is crawling in front of Arabs to make peace with Israel. Guys, you are totally mistaken. Israel needs the Arab world like a headache, because Israel is part of the democracies like in Europe. Israel is a high-tech superpower. You know, your computer, if you use Intel chip, it is either made in Israel or also designed in Israel.
Thank you for marketing Israel and promoting Israel, Mordechai. That is not our subject. Let me ask you something else, Mordechai Kidar. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. You mentioned the Palestinians, and this must be the invasion of Iraq, and the occupation of Iraq must be a godsend for Israel, because, you know, when you see Abu Ghraib and you see the torture and you see the occupation and the dismantlement of the Iraqi society and Iraqi state, the US will disqualify itself for pressuring Israel towards the Palestinians. This must be very good for you.
No. Israel is not responsible for what happens in Iraq, because Iraqis are killing each other as a spill on who was the right caliph, whether it was Ali bin Abi Talib or Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. And you know exactly that this is what...
That's a lie and an offense.
This is what you guys are killing each other about.
That's a lie and an offense, Mordechai, and you should know better. As someone who teaches at university and graduates future intellects and minds, that's a disgraceful comment to make. That's not the war in Iraq. Iraq, the Shias and Sunnis and all factions of Iraq lived side by side for centuries. They didn't need you, your Mossad, and dragging the Americans and dragging the British all along to fight in Iraq and to make Iraq the kind of weakling, queasling kind of puppet government that would suit the interests and the stability and security of Israel. That's the truth. That's the truth. And once Israel starts to realize its own position in the whole area, as well as in the world, as being a perpetrator of terror, not of peace. Israel never wanted peace. Any party who can leash on Gaza what it did never wants peace. It's a lie. It's a lie, and you know it.
Anas Tikriti, let me stop you for just a second. Hold on, Anas Tikriti.
How can you say this?
Since you mentioned Gaza, let me ask you about the Iraqi government. How possible is it? Why was it that Al-Maliki's government, you know, their criticism of Israel was absolutely muted? Since 2003, successive Iraqi governments, successive Iraqi prime minister, they never criticized Israel as powerfully as they should.
The reality is, Jassim, that the Iraqi government is slowly becoming part of the structure and network of the Arab regimes. And therefore, in a sense, you know, its position is irrelevant to people like myself and people who observe the social structure of Iraq. The reality is, you have to look at what happened on the ground. Every single day, thousands of people, Iraqis, up and down the countries, regardless of where they came from, they put their own lives and security on the line in order to demonstrate showing support and solidarity for Gaza. On 2 occasions, I had friends who were actually speaking to me live from their protests in Yarmouk and in Fadl and in other areas, and there were bombs going off within the same protest. That was the sense of solidarity they had for the people of Gaza. And I would like Mordechai to actually, you know, come up with those friends of his who say that we feel, you know, sort of sympathy and empathy with Israel and we'd like to come and live. I don't think that's true at all.
No. You mentioned Gaza. You know exactly who the Gazans have their missiles from your biggest enemy, from Iran. And this is what your prime minister knows as well, because he knows
Iran is not our biggest enemy, Mordechai. No. Iran is not our biggest enemy. Our biggest enemy is Israel. You have to realize that. Israel is our biggest enemy.
Who smuggled all those jihadists? Who smuggled all those jihadists into Iran? Who supports Muqtada al-Sadr, if not Iran? Iran is the worst dream of Iran is to see democracy in Iraq, because all those intellectuals in Iran will want the same thing in Iran as well. Iran wants your skulls being in the street day and night, just like Syria, your brethren in Syria who are afraid of Iraqi democracy. Because if you have democracy, all those in Damascus will also want democracy. And those regimes, both in Iran and in Syria, both were pouring oil on the fire inside Iraq only to undermine the chances of democracy in Iraq, or stability. Never mind democracy, stability. And you know this, where those Hezbollah people came from Israel or from Lebanon through Syria.
That was the final comment from Mordechai Kedar. And security, wrap up the show for us.
The fact of the matter is that the Iraqi people, I think that their stand matters most in my eyes. The stand of the government is irrelevant. But we will see further politicians extending their hands of so-called friendship to Israel in the future. I have no doubt of that, simply because this is the kind of structure that the Israelis wanted. So, and in a sense, I still haven't heard from Mordechai a clear denial that Israel still operates in Iraq. And the question is why? Is it to make Iraq a democratic, strong country? My argument is not.
Gentlemen, we just have to bring you again for another show to settle this argument. Anas al-Tikriti, Mordechai Kedar. Gentlemen, thank you for being guests on Inside Iraq. To access the show and to send us your comments, please go to aljazeera.net/English. We have reached the end of this show. Join me next week when we take another look inside Iraq. Until then, have a great week.